Let us move to input-output programming basics associated with microcontroller 8051. We have seen some of the instructions associated with arithmetic and logical operations, then jump instructions, loop instruction, call instruction. We have discussed about architecture, pinout, some of the features associated with assembly language programming. In the due course, now we have to discuss about IOs, then serial communication, timers as a part of our first unit from the course microcontroller and its application. So in this particular presentation, first of all, we will go through some of the instructions which are very useful in IO programming, and some small programs we will take just for the illustration purpose, how exactly IO programming is done in microcontroller. Now these are some of the instructions that is those are very useful, like set B. This is for setting a particular bit, clear bit, so clear the bit is equal to 0. CPL bit, so complement the bit is equal to not bit. We are as if doing the direct inversion. Then JB, bit comma target, so jump to target if bit is equal to 1, so jump if bit is set. JNB, this is jump to target if bit is equal to 0, that is bit is not set. And JBC, bit comma target, so jump to target if bit is equal to 1, and clear bit, jump if bit then only clear. So this is also used in many applications for setting or resetting particular bit when IO programming is done. JNB and JB instructions are widely used, a single bit operation. They allow you to monitor a bit and make a decision depending on whether it's 0 or 1. So these two instructions can be used for any bits of IO ports, that is port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3. Port 3 is typically not used for any IO related activities. Either single bit or byte-wise operations we can perform. So instructions for reading an input port, some of the just sample instructions I have shown here, like move a comma px. Here x stands for the particular port number, so it may be 0, 1, 2 or 3. So example is move a comma p2, so bring into a the data at p2 pins. JNB px dot y, so whatever is your port, that is say for example p2.1, and the target address you have to give. Jump if p2.1 is low. Then JB, then p1.3, so jump if port 1 pin number 3 is high. Move c comma px dot y, that is move c comma p2.4. Example just I have mentioned here. So it is the meaning is that whatever is the status of p2.4, that is to be copied into carry flag. C corresponds to carry flag. So these are some of the examples where directly from the port status we can modify some of the bits, or maybe the accumulator especially, and then we can use it for some particular application or the processing. As far as 8051 is considered, there are total 4 ports. Out of that, here you can see port 1, 1.0 to 1.7, that is 0 to 7 corresponds to total 8 pins, pin number 1 to 8. These are available for port 1. Then port 2, as far as considered, the other side you can see pin number 21 onwards. So 21 to 28, total 8 pins, P2.0 to P2.7, and these are multiplexed, that is they are also used as higher address bus, A8 to A15. Same fashion, port 0 you can see 32 pin number to 39 pin number, P0.7 to P0.0. So those pins are multiplexed as address and data, lower bits A0 to A7 of address, as well as lower bits of data, that is D0 to D7. So you can see port 0 is used for address as well as data, along with the programmability feature associated with internally each and every pin. Then port 3, as far as consider, it is P3.0 to P3.7. So pin number 10 to pin number 17. Now this is a multiplex port. It is taking care of RxD, TxD, that is receive, transmit, and interrupt 0 and interrupt 1, timer 0 and timer 1, and read and write. So all the pins are multiplexed. So conventionally port 3 is already engaged with some of the more important kind of a task like read write operation or serial transmission reception or interrupt or timers. So most of the IO's operations, plain IO operations, are not carried out with port 3. So total 32 pins are set aside for the 4 ports P0, P1, P2 and P3. All of the ports are having same number of pins. So this is for this particular microcontroller. It is not true for all the other microcontrollers. Like in case of PIC or in case of ARM, number of pins even are varying port wise. Plus 5 volt supply is given as a voltage to the chip, and accordingly the port pins are going to have the status logic 0 or logic 1 as and when required. Port 0 is also designated as AD0 to AD7, so allowing it to be used for both address and data. When connecting an 8051 or 31 series to an external memory, port 0 provides both address as well as data functionality. It can be used for input or output. Each pin must be connected externally to a 10 kilo ohm pull-up resistor. Since for port 0, this is not internally available, so as to look after the current and voltage specifications required at each and every pin. Conventionally, if we are going to keep these pins open, that is also a problem, floating pins, and if you make them ground, then there will be a logic 0. To avoid that, they are pulled and they are connected to VCC. So internal impedance and the external impedance, conventionally the whatever is the impedance already there, so tenth of that, that is conventionally here it is 100, so tenth of that, it is at approximately 10k pull-up resistors are used. Already we have had a small talk on this in the first or second session on 8051 in out. So in that discussion I have given some focus. You can refer that particular video also. So here in short, it is open drain for MOS chips, which is nothing but similar to your open collector in case of TTL chips, and we have to drive it. So therefore you need some pull-up resistor so that properly voltage and current is maintained at respective pins. This is one small example I have considered. Just all of these we will execute in the our actual simulator, that is using Keil platform. Number of examples I will be sharing with you. So in that you will see how the port is to be used in Keil, how exactly port is to be observed, status of the port and all those things. So this is just as a part of our theoretical discussions, some small examples in the form of programs we will be taking into consideration, and actual execution of those programs we will be doing with our Keil platform. So here this is a small illustration how to use the port in the program. So move a comma 55h, say for example 0101 0101, this data I have transferred on into the accumulator. Now the same second instruction is move P0 comma A. So meaning is that whatever is in accumulator, now that is copied into, transferred into port 0. P0 corresponds to port 0. By default both of them are of size 8 bits. So whatever 8 bits are there in accumulator, respectively those bits are copied on the respective pins of port, that is P0. Small delay I have called, and then move a comma hash 0 AAH. So meaning is that in the beginning I have set all the port pins 0101 0101, and now I am making it with some small delay in between 1010 1010. So that is AA, 8 pins. Move now this AA which we copied into accumulator to port 0, and again call delay. Then is jump back. So remain in the loop and go on doing the same thing repeatedly. So what is the effect? This is as if a flickering or blinking of the respective bits, because in the beginning we have transferred 0 1 0 1, again 0 1 0 1, 8 bits, and in the next part, second part, we have transferred AA, that means 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. So it's a toggling of the respective bits. This way you can toggle a particular port on off on off on off based on some particular delay. Same thing in some other way is to be realized, then it is nothing but it is producing a square wave on off, and same delay routine if we are going to execute, then definitely it will be a 50% duty cycle, and there will be logic 1, logic 0. So high low kind of a pulsating signal will get generated. In order to make port an input, the port must be programmed by writing 1 to all the bits. In the previous program we have transferred something, so now we will take something from the port. So for that small example, port 0 is configured first as an input port by writing ones to it, and then data is received from that port and sent to P1. So P0 will receive something and then it will send to port 1. Now for this small 3-4 instructions, just see, move a comma hash 0 ffh. So ff is transferred into A, meaning is that all the bits are set to 1. Second instruction, doing the same task, that is P0 comma A. A is containing ff, all ones. So all ones are transferred on port 0. So all the input pins are made 1. Now I have written the instruction move a comma P0. So now P0 is containing all ones, that is once again copied into accumulator, and next instruction is move P1 comma A. So whatever in A we have collected, that is transferred to port 1. So now port 1 also all the bits are made 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, and last one instruction is sjump back. So remain in the loop with the same combination. This is a small thing where we have programmed port, we have used port 0 and port 1 in the same program, and we have made the status of both the ports as 1. Next one is port 1. Port 1 can be used as input or output. In contrast to port 0, this port does not need any pull-up register since it already has pull-up registers internally. So upon reset, port 1 is configured as input port by default. So small code again, move a comma hash 55h, move a P1 comma A, meaning is whatever is in accumulator that is copied into P1. Now accumulator is having from the first instruction 55. So therefore that 55 is copied into P1. Now a call delay and then CPLA. So in the previous example with port 0, we have done 2 times a comma 55, a comma AA. So instead of that, here what we are doing, we are complementing the respective status. We have instruction CPLA, that is automatically accumulator contents are going to get complemented, meaning is wherever there is 0 now that will become 1, and wherever there is 1 now that will become 0. So complement instruction, CPLA instruction is very useful in some such task where you want to set or reset the respective pins or respective IO lines. Sjump as usual. And to make port 1 an input port, it must be programmed as such by writing 1 to all its bits, same fashion. So for example, here you see port 1 is configured first as an input port by writing ones to it, then data is received from the port and saved in say register R7 and R5. It's just an example we are taking, nothing else, not a very specific application or a use. So move a comma hash 0 ffh. So move P1 comma A. What it is doing, these first two instructions, accumulator is going to get ff in eggs, and the same is copied into P1. So P1 all the input pins are made 1, that is ff. Now from P1 we are supposed to get data. So instruction is move a comma P1, move R7 comma A, meaning is that whatever is in accumulator now copy it into R7 register. Call delay, next time move a comma P1, move R5 comma A. Just not a very particular application or a task we are doing here. Small thing, just I am illustrating how to write the instructions while ports are involved in the program, how to take the input, how to transmit the something from the port, that is input output operation. Now next is port 2, that can be used as input or output. Just like P1, port 2 does not need any pull-up register since it already has pull-up internally. Upon reset, port 2 is configured as input port. Port 1 is also configured as input port upon reset. To make port 2 an input port, it must be programmed as such by writing 1 to all its bits. In many 8051 based systems, port 2 is used as a simple IO port. In 8031 based systems, port 2 must be used along with P0 to provide the 16-bit address for external memory. This also you remember, port 2 must be used along with port 0 to provide the 16-bit address for the external memory. Port 2 is also designated as A8 to A15, indicating that its dual function. Port 0 provides the lower 8 bits via A0 to A7. Now, as far as port 3 is considered, it is, as already mentioned, doing additional function, providing this functionality in the form of RxD, TxD in number 10 and 11, that is receive and transmit, INT 0 bar, INT 1 bar. So this is external interrupts, INT 0 and INT 1. Then T0 and T1, these are external timers, and P3.6 and P3.7, that is WR bar and RD bar. So 16 and 17, this corresponds to read and write signals of external memories. In system based on 8751 or 89C51 or DS89C4X0, pins 3.6 and 3.7 are used for IOs, while the rest of the pins in port 3 are normally used in the alternate functional role. So mainly that is those pins are not involved in conventional IO operation. Now just see a small program. I've taken the example, keep monitoring the P1.bit until it becomes high. Okay, we have to monitor P1.2 bit. When P1.2 becomes high, write value 45 to port 0, send a high to low pulse to P2.3. Three tasks we want to do. Now see here, first thing, set B P1.2, make P1.2 an input, set, we have set that bit, move A comma hash 45, so now accumulator is containing 4, 5, J and B, P1.2 again, get out when P1.2 is equal to 1. So it will monitor the status of P1.2 and then repeat, jump if not bit, proceed further, move P0 comma A, set B P2.3, so it is made high, and then clear P2.3, so that is going to make it clear. Send high and low pulse to P2.3. This is our third task, C task. So that has been done by set B P2.3 and clear P2.3, two instructions. Then when P1.2 becomes high, write 45 to port 0. So we have written those lines also, and continuously we have monitored the respective bit. Now there is one more example. A switch is connected to pin P1.7. Write a program to check status of switch and perform the following. Switch is equal to 0, send letter N to P2. If switch is equal to 1, send letter Y to P2. Now in the beginning we will set first of all that pin port, set B P1.7, make P1.7 an input. Again ZB P1.2 comma over, jump if P1.7 is 1. Move P2 comma slash N, so that is with switch is 0, issue N to P2, let's jump again, then move P2 comma hash Y, jump again. So when switch is 1, you send Y, so switch is on, send Y, and go on doing the same thing. So last is jump again is again repeatedly from ZB, one it will go on and on. The next is again one more small example. Switch is connected to pin P1.0 and LED to pin P2.7. Write a program to get status of the switch and send it to LED. Now see here, small thing, set B P1.7, that is our bit in which we are interested. So now it is going to become input. Again move C comma P1.0. So read SW status into CF, that is carry flag. Move P2.7 comma C. So whatever is in C, now that transferred to P2 port. P1.0 is going to take the input. P2.7 is also observing the status. Now go on repeating. The instruction move P2.7 comma P1.0 like that. That is both the operands, source and destination, are port. Then it will not work. Remember, directly if you are writing with the bit operation, that is p2.7 comma p1.1 p1.0 something like that. But normal p2 comma p1 if you write, that it will accept. In reading a port, some instructions read the status of the port pins, others read the status of an internal port latch. So therefore, when reading ports, there are two possibilities, like read the status of the input pin, read the internal latch of the output port. Confusion between them is major source of errors in 8051 programming, especially where external hardware is connected. Now there are some of the instructions which are simply used for the sake of read and modify and write. The instructions related to port latch normally read a value, perform an operation when rewrite it back to the port latch. So instructions are ANLPX, ORLPX, XRLPX, JBCPX.Y target, CPLPX.Y, INC. You just go through this small instructions, our logical instructions, and respectively the example I have mentioned here. For a moment you read out. So you can see how we have done that. P1 dot, P2 dot, like P1.2, P2.3, clear P2.3, set B P2.3. So this way we can do very easily.